I should have noticed it earlier, but who would ever think a patient could become a predator? I didn't, and now every shadow seems to harbor a threat. It all began innocuously enough. I am a psychiatrist at a small practice in the heart of the city, specializing in trauma and anxiety disorders. I have worked there for 8 years now. My newest patient, Nathan Cole, was a tall man in his early 30s, with an unremarkable appearance that barely registered in a crowd. His childhood had been marred by abandonment and abuse, an unfortunate but not uncommon narrative. Nathan started therapy with me about 6 months ago, seeking help for trust issues after being alone for several years. He also had a fixation on people in his past. He was able to remember all the small details about them, the marks they had, the freckles, eye color. He remembered it all. He was vulnerable in our sessions, and I felt a professional obligation to help him. Our sessions were typically intense. I found some solace in the progress we seemed to be making. Then, things began to shift. At first, it was subtle. I saw him outside my office window one day, standing across the street. I brushed it off as a coincidence. A week later, I spotted him at the subway station. Another week, I spotted him walking by the laundromat I always use. He was always at a distance, but I couldn't shake the creeping discomfort. I didn't want to alarm anyone, so I tried to convince myself it was just paranoia. Nathan's presence began to feel like an oppressive shadow, a tall shadow looming over me. My clients were mostly understanding, but this unease was turning into something that affected my work. I began to see him everywhere, his face in passing crowds, his silhouette in reflections. The city, once vibrant, became a labyrinth of his haunting presence. Desperate, I approached the board of psychiatry. My complaints were met with indifference, chalked up to my stress levels and personal anxieties. When I turned to the police, they explained that without concrete evidence or a direct threat, there was little they could do. Their words did nothing to quell the dread that gnawed at me. One night, a thunderstorm raged outside. I awoke to the oppressive darkness and the rumble of thunder. The lightning illuminated my bedroom, revealing a figure standing at the foot of my bed. Nathan's eyes were locked onto mine, cold, unyielding, and devoid of remorse. A scream ripped through my throat, but it was swallowed by the storm's roar. Nathan lunged at me. I scrambled out of bed, adrenaline surging as I fought back. I grabbed a lamp from my bedside table, swinging it wildly. The room became a chaotic blur of thunder, flashes of lightning, and desperate struggle. He swept my feet, and we both fall to the floor. Nathan climbs on top of me and starts to put his hands around my neck. In the midst of the struggle, my breathing becoming more shallower as my throat closes. My mother's face flashed before me. She had been my rock, my source of strength until cancer took her away. I saw her smile, felt her warmth in the midst of my terror. As the room got lighter, I felt as though I saw the lights of death. Her voice echoed in my mind, urging me to fight, to survive. A surge of determination fueled me. I threw my hands up and picked up a glass cup from my nightstand. I managed to swing my hand around, striking Nathan on the head. He collapsed, his body crumpling like a rag doll. I didn't wait for him to move. I scrambled to the phone, dialing 911 with trembling fingers. The police arrived swiftly. Nathan was arrested, but the damage had been done. The terror, the helplessness, it left its mark. I quit my job shortly after, unable to reconcile the horror of those months with my professional identity. The idea of sitting behind that desk again, with Nathan's face forever etched into my memory, was unbearable. I got into a massive depression, thinking of all of the years I wasted on education, all of the money. It got real dark for a few months. I took a position as a teacher, a role far removed from the clinical detachment of psychiatry. Against my better judgment, I pursued a different degree. It wasn't the same as healing others, but it was a new start. My students were different, innocent, unaware of the darkness that had invaded my life. I have been working on myself, and I am doing much better. But even now, sometimes I see shadows where there are none, and hear footsteps echoing behind me in empty halls. I wonder if I will ever truly escape the fear that Nathan left behind, or if it will be a ghost I carry with me always. So, I live my life with one eye ever watchful, my heart heavy with memories, but hopeful for the future. Perhaps in teaching, I can find the solace and normalcy that my old life could no longer offer.